I graduated high school. My parents said, okay, college time. And I said, I don't think so, Mom and Dad. I can always go to college. I want to start a business. By the old age of 19, it's time to start a business.
Anybody can do it if you've got what?
Drive.
If you feel like you can work and want to make money, you can make a good amount working here. I paid off my house by working there.
For a technician in your role, is it possible for them to make over $300,000?
Oh, yeah. Please.
And are you proof of that?
I'm definitely proof of that, yeah, for sure.
Why the trades?
I had two options coming out of the military, either go to college, and I knew I wanted to work with my hands. So I decided, hey, trades is where I want to go. You can also make a pretty good amount of money doing trades if you're good at what you do.
Because I made a decision to get into the trades when I was 15 years old. Most kids today don't know at the age of 15 what they plan on doing the rest of their life. But for some reason, and I can't tell you why, I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to own my own business. My parents, typical family, they wanted me to go to college. And, I wasn't necessarily opposed to that. But I for some reason, chose air conditioning and major appliance repair. And, back in those days, the high schools offered trade school as part of high school. You'd spend half your day at high school, typical, courses, high school courses. And then the other half, you'd go to a different facility and that's where you learn your trade. It was a 2-year program. And I convinced my parents that I was going to try it. I wasn't ruling out college, but I got into it and I loved it. And I said, this is for me. And my intent was to learn. I figured if I was going to own a business, I needed to learn what I was doing first, right? How air conditioners work, how major appliances work. I never necessarily wanted to turn a screwdriver the rest of my life, but I ended up doing it for quite a long time. So, I got in early. I went through 2 years of trade school. I graduated high school. My parents, a little bit earlier, said, okay, college time. And I said, I don't think so, Mom and Dad. That was an interesting time. So I said, look, I can always go to college. I said, I want to get out. I love this. I want to start a business, but I'll go work for someone for a couple of years. And I'm a kid, right? So, as you know, there's a lot more than just fixing things. You got to be able to interact with people and there's a whole soft skill side and you're young. And so you've got to learn that. So that's what I did. And so, by the old age of 19, 20, it's time to start a business. And that's what I did. So I started an air conditioning and major appliance repair company at 19 and a half years old. And here I am.
You mentioned opportunities inside Wrench. I think you're a perfect example of something I've heard you share before, which is what Wrench is, which is really a high-paying career without a 4-year.
Yep.
If you look at the core of what Wrench stands for, a high-paying career without a 4-year, and then you look at the CEO of Wrench, who never went to college,
right?
Who's running a $1.6 billion company. What you demonstrate there, Ken, is anybody can do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got what?
Drive. And look, you have to want to do it. You have to work. It starts with work ethic. You have to work hard. I remember, as I, worked in a corporate environment back at Service America and Blue Dot, look, you're in an organization that has a lot of people and a lot of people want to advance, right? And so it comes down to work ethic. You have to make yourself indispensable. Right. You do that by working, going the extra mile, doing a little extra, be willing to do more than anyone else is willing to do. Right. In your job, in your company, for your boss, whatever the case may be. And that was me. And I didn't have a degree. I may not have been the smartest guy. Right. In the organization, but through hard work, commitment, and being there when my company needed me, it helped get me to the next level. And I learned the things that I didn't have, the skills that I didn't have, I learned. But it comes down to work ethic. And so same thing here. Look, we're a big business. We're across the country. Ultimately we'll be in 30 states, perhaps, when it's all said and done. Over 7,500 employees today. We need great leaders. We need great managers. We need great technicians. We need great CSRs, accountants. You name it. You can look at any position across the organization, there's tons of opportunity. And as long as we continue to grow, those opportunities will be there. And so, yeah, you're right. I'm a perfect example. I got out of high school. I had a screwdriver and a wrench, and a different kind of wrench, but a wrench in my hand. And I worked my way up. And I used to love, back in the day, getting in front of technicians, because I love technicians. I'm a blue collar guy at heart, and I love getting in front of them. And I used to love telling the story as I travel around the country to techs that didn't necessarily know me all that well. Mm-hmm. And I would say, 5 years ago, I was in your seat. I was sitting over there where you are. I wasn't standing up here having this conversation. And I tell the story about, quickly, it was a condensed version of how I grew up through the business, but I'm a technician. I'm an HVAC tech. And so use it as motivation to talk about opportunity. And so it really comes down to work ethic, commitment, being willing to do things that others are not. And that's how you get ahead, right? Just you be successful. And so, look, I couldn't be any more bullish about the industry, the opportunities. We work in a business that people can't live without the services we provide. Doesn't get any better than that. Mm-hmm. Job security. We're here a long time.
So I grew up in Antioch, honor student.
Antioch, California, honor student. I didn't know what I really wanted to do, but I got into UC Davis. I was in school for about 2.5 years. I was just taking classes because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. After about that time, I dropped out because I felt like I was just wasting my time. I went home, helped out my parents' landscaping business for about half a year. And then one summer, our AC went out. So they called a company. They came out, was there probably less than half an hour. And then he got working in. Later on, he talked to me like, hey, you might want to go in this trade. We had to pay him a good amount for not even that much work. So I looked into it. And at that time, a lot of companies wanted guys with experience. I have no experience. So I looked up online and for school, if there's like a school for it. And I found a community college, San Joaquin Delta College in Stockton, offered an AS program for heat and air. So I enrolled and took 2 years and got my AS degree. Afterwards, after I graduated, that's when I started looking at job openings, and I saw a classified ad for the company here. I applied and came on as a peer flow tech because I still have no work experience, but I have school experience. So the pay is what a lot of the times the pay is what drives you, getting your hourly wage. I mean, your hourly wage at times, Wash, is astronomical because you finish. You are so efficient, right?
Yeah.
Is it normal? Could you possibly make $70-$80 an hour?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because our paycheck go up and down, just depending on jobs, but some paychecks I'm over 70-80 an hour.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I love it. You earn every single dollar, and you also get home at a good time.
Yeah, well, one of my goals every day is to beat traffic. So beating traffic, that means getting done around 2 or earlier. There's times I'm at 12 something on a full split system, but that's not every day. There's days I'm out late, but there's days I'm early. But my average seems to be between 3 and 5, so which is not bad.
3 and 5 o'clock.
Yep.
So you're wrapping up and there's got to be some things, and we're going to get into that. There's got to be some things that you're doing to be able to finish a job between 3 and 5 every day. Because like you said, most of your jobs are one day, right?
Yep.
Furnace, air conditioner, line set, right?
Yeah, all that.
And that's one day. And some days you're doing 2 installs, right? Or helping guys out or for finishing a 2-day install in 1 day, I think is what you said.
Yeah. Or like there's days where like the center's busy and I finish and then the office is called like, can you please check in? And there's times some other crews need help or they have an emergency calls like, can you go do this? Because the client right now have no hot water or AC went out.
Mm-hmm.
There's times like if it's early enough, then yeah, well, I can go out and do that too. But, yeah.
It's great. So you said, I kind of put the numbers together. You were 23, 24 when you started.
Yeah.
You worked here 20 years. If I do the math, you're 44? Is that you're 44?
Yeah, I'm 44 right now.
You know, a lot of people say this is a young man's career. You're in a young man's job. You've defied those odds, meaning a lot of people say, oh, well, I could do this when I'm 20 and 30, but when I get that, 30, 35, I'm going to need to switch over to service, right? You've clearly shown that, look, you can make a career as a lead installation technician, right?
Yep. So there's actually quite a few guys in my center that's my age or even older that's doing this. As long as you have the mindset of like that you can feel like you can do this job, it is one of the most physical work in the industry. But
how about the most physical? Crawling in attics.
No, for me, the pier flow is the most physical because they're crawling every day. For the install, in my mind, I don't crawl every day, so it's not hard. It's different type of physical, but yeah. But if you feel like you can work and want to make money, you can make a good amount working here. I paid off my house by working here, so yeah. If you want to make a career, you can get paid well and actually buy stuff that you want to.
Okay, so we got to back up on that. You bought a house.
I bought a house
in California. In the San Francisco Bay Area. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. I bought it right after the crash, though, in 2011. But it's still, I bought my own house. And that's probably 4 or 5 years after I work here. So I was able to save and put down payment and make payments on my house. It took me about 10 years to pay it off. And now I have no other
You're
bills.
mortgage free.
Yeah, I'm mortgage free. Yeah.
Unbelievable. As an installation lead technician, paid off your house, no mortgage, just to have the foresight. Like, what was it that made you want to buy your house?
Actually, I didn't even want to buy a house. I was saving for a car. Yeah. My parents were like, "No, you need to get a house. Don't buy the car." And so they went out their way. They look at houses ahead of time and then pick the ones that look good. And then that's when I go with them on the weekend. And after, I think it took about a year and a half of making offers because we're placing bids and people with cash would come in and then outbid me. So it took about a year and a half for me to finally get a house. But yeah, I wouldn't have bought a house back then unless it was all because of my parents.
Then I started looking for a 9-to-5, and then I got on Indeed, found Service Champions. Didn't know anything about HVAC except that, I didn't even know what HVAC stands for, to be honest. But then applied, luckily got into here, and then it kind of all started from there.
And that was back in what year?
I think 2017.
So 2017.
Yeah.
You come to Service Champions. No HVAC experience at all.
No. I remember passing the heater in my parents' garage, but that was the best I really knew about what a heater was.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't even have air conditioning because we grew up in Fremont. So,
yeah.
So we didn't have one until actually maybe like way, way later on.
Yeah. But you have some communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
You've worked as a bartender. You worked as a waiter. And it's funny because I'm talking to someone right now, David, who is looking for a sales job. He's worked as a bartender.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sharing with him that this is the perfect job for someone who it has got great communication skills, because he's like you. He's a bartender, so it's just natural. It's just natural for him to be able to connect with people. And it's just interesting that your journey is similar to the one of the gentleman that I'm literally talking to right now. It's really cool. It's really cool. So anyway, so you look at Indeed. You see heating and air conditioning or HVAC, or you're not even sure what that means.
Yeah.
You come in for the interview process, and the interview process for sure is more or less hire for attitude, train for skill. And you were the perfect person for that.
I had it with Sarah Ward. And I remember sitting in the front office over here, and she was like, I remember easily, she was like, how much do you want to make? And I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe like 100,000. Sounded like a lot at the time. And then she's like, that's it? That's all that's your goal? And I didn't even think about the possibilities of even making more than that here. But then when she said that, I said, okay, I'm game. Let's get it going.
We talked about prior to the air, as a technician, what's possible and how much income is possible to make.
Yeah, we broke the chart.
Yeah, we did. And the chart, the chart that David's talking about is a career path, and the career path that we have posted in the training room shows all the T1 graduates to become an M1, graduates to be an M2 to an S1 to an S2. On that chart, it shows what the expectations are, also shows the compensation levels. Mm-hmm. And I think on that chart, it has a technician, the top technician, making over 200.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember Ed showing me that.
Yeah.
That was what everyone was like, hey, this is what you can do. This is what you can do.
And David has shattered that and is now telling me that we need to redo the chart, which I think David Sturgeon is on right now.
Yeah.
And changing it. Yet is it possible for a technician in your role, a technician that does tech-generated leads, is it possible for them to make over 300,000?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they can definitely.
And are you proof of that?
I'm definitely proof of that, yeah, for sure.
And I can validate that. I can validate that.
Yeah.
And to think that David, who, if you think about David's career path, went to Ohlone, right, which is a junior college, graduated with an AA, communication degree. You're the perfect example of a high-paying career without a 4-year.
I still got those shirts when I go to bed.
A high-paying career without a 4-year. You're the epitome of that. And you have, David, you've bought into the system, because it's really hard to buy in sometimes, right?
Yeah, there's days where, you might be a little bit second-guessing everything, but you got to get all that negative energy out of your head. And that's why when working here, I try to associate personally and work life to be with a positive mindset, people thinking. Always positive. None of that negative energy. Don't want it around me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like when my father got into the business, he owned his own company prior to us starting Service Champions. In 1971, he got into the residential replacement business, and he couldn't believe it. He was like, this is unbelievable. This is incredible. And he thought, there's no way this can last.
I remember you telling me that when we talked on the phone.
There's no way this can last. And this was in the 80s and 90s, early 80s. And he's like, this is just an incredible business. It's got to end at some point. Now we're 2025, soon to be 2026. And we're talking about, we're in 2026 and soon to be talking about how this thing is just continuing.
We're getting even bigger with the plumbing and electrical.
It's just, it's better than ever.
Yeah.
And the fact that now all these systems that we've been replacing all need to be replaced again because of the new refrigerant.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
It's just incredible how we just live this philosophy that if you just take care of the clients, you do the right things. And again, the messaging that David has sent is so good. You do the right things. It just will continue.
Yeah. I feel like it's also like Livermore, we've always been good. I know now Blake's the GM. Blake messaged me even on the way here. Good luck. You're killing it. You're killing everything. So just also the support of everyone, and Rich, when I first started, brought me underneath his wing. And it's all that positive and bringing uplifting energy, is really great too, in the workplace and things like
Pretty
that.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty amazing, the team that you work for. And
Yeah.
I think for managers out there, I just want to make sure they heard that Blake, who's the GM for David, who once was a fellow technician. Blake was a great technician.
Oh yeah, he was the man. Yeah,
and he's progressed and become the general manager of the location that you continue to work at. Just the support. I just want to make sure everybody heard that. When David was driving over here, Blake called him and said, "Good luck. You're going to be great. You're going to do well today, and you're the man." And that caused that encouragement to me. Is just,
and he has a technical background too. So if he knows that, we maybe need some breakfast one day, he'll do that. And so we're. I think one thing that as a branch that made us all come together is I think Blake, Rich, and Frank came up with a baseball game. And so even though we're all the same branch, we all have we have a little bit of a competitive nature with each other about which baseball team's going to win when it's coming with leads and all these different type of things.
That's so good.
And yeah, it's just all fun, but it's just fun back and forth between all of us.
Well, I've been doing heating and air for about 6 years now, 3 of which, like you already said, here at Morris Jenkins. Before that, I was in the Army for 7.5 of my adult years. Once I turned 18, I went off and joined the Army for, like I said, 7.5 years. My time in, I was infantry for my entire time in. So got to see the world, many different countries, and a lot of different experiences from that.
Yeah, so you said you were with Morris Jenkins for 3 years, but did I hear you say, did you work at another company before Morris Jenkins?
I did. I worked at a different company before I came to Morris Jenkins.
Okay.
That's where I kind of started my growing up in HVAC. And then I graduated and came to play with the big boys over here at Morris Jenkins.
Yeah, no joke. That is the big boys. Those are the big boys, aren't they? Just
they know what they're doing over here.
Yeah. So what were in the Army? You said you're an infantry. Anything to do with HVAC?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Nothing.
And obviously nothing to do with sales or communication or...
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I could really take from my time in the military was communication. That transfers from there to here. But everything technical and trade-wise, I started fresh, brand new in 2020.
And what would you say was the communication that you brought along with you from the Army that you got?
So in the Army, internally in the Army, you have all different walks of life coming together into one unit. You could have a guy from, Chicago, he's city boy. You can have another guy from Minnesota in the country, and they have another guy from Texas, and all different walks of life, all different, all grew up differently. And so you have to hear them and understand where they're coming from to properly engage and grow them up as soldiers, especially when you're in a leadership role. And even if you're not in a leadership role, so you can clearly communicate with each other. And that also applies with, like, when I worked with other countries, other militaries across the world, there's a communication barrier, not only language, but just understanding their culture and where they're coming from. Also, when you're operating in another country, you need to understand their customs and stuff like that, so you don't upset the wrong people and cause a worse situation than you're already in.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. What made you, when you came out of the Army, why the trades? What was it that caused you to go in that direction?
Well, I had 2 options coming out of the military. Either go to college. When I got out, I believe I was, quick math, 26 years old, 27 years old. Go to college. I am not someone that's known for sitting still for very long. I do not like sitting still. And I knew I wanted to work with my hands. I knew I wanted to work with my hands, and I wanted to work with people. And so I decided, hey, trades is where I want to go. You can also make pretty good amount of money doing trades if you're good at what you do. So then I just narrowed it down between all the different trades. I came down to 3 different options: HVAC, electricians or plumbers. I got rid of the plumbing and the electrical just because I figured out that HVAC has basically all those aspects rolled into one. And to be really successful in HVAC, you have to be a very smart individual, or at least willing to learn. And so I kind of took interest to that and just kind of dove headfirst right into the water. I didn't try filling it out at all. I literally left the Army, got on a plane, flew into Charlotte or into Atlanta, drove from Atlanta to Charlotte, and literally started working within a week.
Wow. And you picked up with a company that just said, here, go and do installs, where did you start? Sweeping the warehouse?
So I started out as an apprentice, they called it, for about 2 weeks. The way they did it at this last company, they don't do it like they do here. There was literally no, like, hey, here's some training for 9 weeks. Basically, they had me riding along with somebody for 2 weeks until I passed the EPA, and then gave me a van and said, go wash units. So from that point on, I had to take initiative and put myself in front of situations where no one was going to hold my hand. So I learned on the job, looking at schematics and reading, tech books and asking questions. I'm sure I really annoyed a lot of people, calling them all the time and asking questions.
Yeah. And it sounds like, though, that served you well. That obviously served you well to work at that first company. Did you say you worked there 3 years as well?
Roughly about 3 years.
3 years. Okay. And then what made you switch over to Morris Jenkins?
Work-life balance. I started having kids. The other company did not put their technicians in as their priority. Their priority was the company itself, and then thinking about the field personnel second. When I actually had the guy that trained me at my last company start working here, I called him to complain basically about work. And he told me everything that I was complaining about, how they run their business, Morris Jenkins didn't do. So I sat down and talked to them and got an interview. And they luckily gave me the opportunity to come over here and actually witness what they're doing here. And I think the biggest green flag that I saw when I first started here was they treat their technicians right first. And when the technician is happy, they treat the customer well. And when the customer is treated well, the customer treats Morris Jenkins right. And it's the flywheel. We talk about the flywheel a lot here. And it's just a circle and it keeps going round and round and round. So the training here is fantastic as well. I would never have gotten the training at my last company like I do here, or the support structure as well.
It's great. So, okay, so you come into Morris Jenkins, you go through their tech builder program, right?
No, I actually didn't. So I tested out of the tech builder. They put me in a van as COD. So the guy's fixing the units and everything.
Yeah.
And just said, hey, we'll see what you can do. Yeah. So, and just went from there.
Okay. So tech builder, got it. I get it. That's great. So you tested out of tech builder, went right into being a COD tech, excuse me, which means you run diagnostics, you run maintenance calls that are generated from marketing pieces, et cetera, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's correct.
And you do run maintenance agreements if it's slow.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So COD, COD. Okay. Got it. So you get into Morris Jenkins, and I'm going to assume this was 2023. Was it early 2020?
Yes. Yeah, no, late 2023. So I got into my van early September of 2023.
Okay. So September 22. So it's been less than 3 years. So you're in year 3 right now.
It'll be
Yeah.
3 years.
I rounded up, make
Yeah,
myself
I
a
love
little
it.
bit.
I love it. I just think I think it makes for more of a story, Mills, that you hit GOAT.
When you put it that way, it sounds a lot more impressive than when I kind of,
yeah,
down myself
you
back a little bit.
yeah. So you said you came in September 2023, right?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
And you get in. You're learning about a new company. You're learning about their service system.
Yep.
You're learning just how it all runs. I'm assuming. And
Yeah.
how are you performing in that first year? Would you say you're an average, below average, or above average performer in that year?
So I guess the reason why I said less than 3 years or 3 years is that first like September to December, I don't really count in my mind. I
Yeah.
count the first full year.
Yes.
That first full year working here, I would say I was probably about middle of the pack, still kind of starting to work my way up the ladder. So that first 6 months, that was me basically just getting my foot in the door, kind of working my way up, doing, start simple, repairs, bigger repairs, getting in front of more and more units, and then building that trust with everybody else above me, and then working my way up. I think my first year first complete year, total revenue was like 2.2 million. That
Mhm.
first complete year.
And that'd be 2024.
That'd be 2024.
2.2 million, and that's total revenue. That's truck revenue, mean revenue you do off your truck, and revenue that you generate from your leads that get sold. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
2.2 million. Okay. So 2.2 million in 2024. You're middle of the pack. So what happens?
Well,
So what the heck happens? Because
towards
middle of
the
the
end,
pack, can I just tell you, middle of the pack at Morris Jenkins is top of the heap in, I would say, 90% of the HVAC companies out there.
you're not wrong. This place is full of absolute professionals and guys that are just killing it. They would go anywhere else and kill it. I mean, they're not going to, but they're killing it. They would be well above anybody else. And it's like you're surrounded by greatness. And that's actually a good caveat into how I was able to just rock it up. So over that year of 2024, before rocketing up, I asked a lot of questions of other guys that had been working here and had success, asking them, what tools and tricks do you do that's successful for you? And I'll take little bits here and little bits there and kind of rework it to work with my personality and the way that I speak to customers. A little bit of reading here and there as well. Like I know people that go to college probably already read these books all the time, but How to Make Friends and Influence People by Carnegie.
You'd be surprised they don't.
Oh, well,
You'd be incredibly surprised. It's usually the people that don't go that
yeah.
read those books and do incredibly well.
Oh, well, that book helped me out so much. It's not even funny. Whenever someone asks me how I got so good at what I do, that is the first thing I say is that book. Because you can read it 3, 4, 5, 6 different times. It doesn't matter. Every single time you read it, you're going to pick up another nugget, a little knowledge nugget every single time.
Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think I swear I think that was written in what, 1930?
Yeah, 1930. It's almost 100-year-old book.
Unbelievable. And I would agree with you, having read it. It is you could tell there's certain parts you could tell it's 1930, yet the lessons are, they cross all the decades. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And it's funny, when I read that book, I noticed that a lot of the principles taught in that book are already in Morris Jenkins' process. So then it was just like connecting the dots. And there was just like this aha moment in early 2025 where it just clicked.
He finished number 2 in tech-generated lead revenue, doing over $4 million in installed sales in just his 3rd year being at Morris Jenkins.
Every call is an opportunity. I realized early on in 2025, every call is an opportunity to generate revenue. So that maintenance in March when it's 60 degrees outside, that's an opportunity.